begin at the Iron Blow lookout above Queenstown. For a moment, the vast open pit comes into view, a reminder of Tasmania's mining past and how this land was shaped by gold and copper. Almost as quickly as it appears, the lookout fades behind us and we wind our way along the mountain road. Snow still lingers in the drains and gullies, a thin white trace of the wild west coast weather. The drive itself feels like part of the adventure. Mist rolling across the ridges, peaks shifting from grey to deep green as we press further into the wilderness. From Queenstown, the road carries us deeper into the wild heart of Tasmania. This is part of the Lyell Highway, a route that winds between mountains and rivers, connecting the west coast to the central highlands. The journey feels remote, each bend revealing new glimpses of misted peaks and valleys carved by ancient waters. It was along roads like these that travellers and campaigners once journeyed, drawn to the wilderness not only for its beauty, but to defend it. In the late 20th century, plans to dam the Franklin River threatened to flood vast tracts of rainforest and wild rivers nearby. What followed became one of Australia's most famous environmental battles, the Franklin Dam protests. Thousands gathered in defence of this wilderness, standing on riverbanks and chaining themselves to equipment, declaring that some places are too precious to lose. The campaign succeeded, the dam was stopped, and the wilderness was saved. Today, as we drive this road towards Nelson Falls, we pass through landscapes that might otherwise have been lost beneath the water. Every glimpse of river, forest and snow-touched peak reminds us of what was fought for and what was preserved for future generations. We travel roads that were built not only for tourists like us, but originally for miners, ore trucks, and the machinery that opened up this wild land. Without the economic push of the mines, the exports, the labour, the infrastructure investment, many of the routes we drive today might have been delayed or never properly built. These roads are part of the legacy of mining, rough and remote but essential. Roads that connect wilderness, communities and history. Soon we arrive at the Nelson Falls walk. The path draws us beneath tall myrtle trees, their trunks draped in moss and their roots tangled in the earth. Ferns glisten in the cool light, each step carrying us deeper into the rainforest. The air grows damp and sharp, footsteps softened by the forest floor, and the sound of water grows louder with every turn. The track to Nelson Falls begins gently, following the Nelson River upstream. This clear, fast-flowing creek carries snow melt and rain from the mountains above, feeding the falls and sustaining the forest that surrounds us. Here we step into a rainforest that is truly ancient, Many of these trees, myrtles, sassafras and leatherwood, belong to cool temperate rainforests that have thrived in Tasmania for more than 60 million years. Survivors from the time of Gondwana. Walking beneath them feels like entering a living museum where every trunk and fern is part of an unbroken story stretching back to the age of the dinosaurs. Along the way, there are small wonders to notice. Fun fact 1. The leatherwood tree, which grows in these forests, produces nectar used to make Tasmania's famous leatherwood honey, a flavour found nowhere else in the world. Fun fact 2. The mosses and lichens carpeting the rocks and logs here act as natural sponges, holding water like a reservoir and slowly releasing it back into the ecosystem, keeping the rainforest green and thriving, even in dry spells. This short walk is more than a path to the waterfall. It's a glimpse into the deep time of Tasmania's wilderness and a reminder of how delicate and precious these ancient forests are.
Did you go, which way did you come? Go this way. That's the wheel.
And then, at the end of the trail, the forest opens. Nelson Falls reveals itself. The curtain of white tumbling over dark rock into the pool below. Both powerful and peaceful. It is the perfect reward at the end of the path. A place to pause and breathe in the timeless beauty of Tasmania's wilderness. As we leave Nelson Falls behind, it's hard not to reflect on the road that brought us here. A road carved by miners, paid for in sweat and copper, winding through landscapes once thought of only as resources to be taken. Without that industry, perhaps we would not have these highways at all, nor the chance to stand in places like this. Yet history has two sides, and where one hand carves scars, another rose to protect. The campaign to save Tasmania's wild rivers, the voices raised against the Franklin Dam, and the determination of communities, both local and global, made sure that this rainforest, this river, and this waterfall would endure. We walk here today not through a drowned valley, but through a living one, a cathedral of trees, stone, and water that continues to flow as it has for millennia. In the spray of Nelson Falls, we feel the pulse of an ancient forest. These myrtles and leatherwoods connect us to the world older than memory, survivors from the age of Gondwana. The air is sharp and clean, the water pure, and every step reminds us of the resilience of nature when given the chance to endure. And so we give thanks to the traditional owners who cared for this land for countless generations, to the miners whose toil opened these mountains to roads and passage, to the locals who stood firm when wilderness was under threat, and to this place itself, wild, timeless and untamed. May we carry the memory of Nelson Falls not just as a picture or a story, but as a call to protect what remains. Because these forests, these rivers and these mountains are more than scenery, they are part of who we are, part of the story of Tasmania, and part of the story we all share.